LPD 1041.
Signal 10 assistance.
Inside the Squad, presented by the Lafayette Police Department. To serve and protect is not just a motto, it's our mission.
Sending another unit.
Step it up.
Welcome back to Inside the Squad podcast. Today we are joined by our partners at the Heartford House, Tippecanoe County's Child Advocacy Center. The Heartford House serves children who have experienced abuse or witnessed a crime, providing a safe and child-friendly environment where specifically trained professionals conduct forensic interviews and connect families with advocacy and support services. In this episode, we'll discuss how the Heartford House supports children and families during incredibly difficult situations, how their multidisciplinary team works alongside law enforcement and child protective services, and how our community can help protect and advocate for the youngest members of Lafayette. So let's start out. Who are you guys? Who's on this episode?
Ladies first.
Okay. I am Destiny Crawford. I am the program director at Heartford House. So I oversee all direct service. So the forensic interviewing, the advocacy, the outreach and prevention that we do, I'm all in charge of that.
And I'm Rachel Mishney. I'm a forensic interviewer, so I conduct interviews, and then I'm also cross-trained to do advocacy as well.
But she's leaving. And I am Lieutenant O'Shields. I wasn't supposed to open that door, was I?
It's okay.
And I oversee the Special Victims Unit. And it's been a few years since I did a podcast, and this equipment's much nicer and newer. And it's good to be here.
You were on... Did you start the podcast?
I didn't start it.
You were on season 2.
Yes. I didn't know we had seasons, but okay.
Every host is a different season.
Okay, that's fair. I was season 2.
Well,
yes.
official.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
So can you guys start by telling us what the Heartford House is and the mission behind your work?
Yeah, so we are a child advocacy center. So our mission is to support victims of or witnesses to crime and abuse through advocacy, education, and forensic interviewing. So what that means is just when kids experience those things, they have a safe place to go, right? They can come to us. We are child friendly, and it's just a non-leading, non-suggestive environment. And so, yeah, that's just like a brief overview of the things that we do and who we are. Do you have anything to add, Rachel?
I think just that child advocacy centers did not start here with us. This is not new. We are one of the first CACs in Indiana. Now we have more than 26. There are thousands across the United States. So this is not just something that's happening here in our county, but we are very, very lucky that we're able to provide these services to kids. And our hope for Indiana is that every child has access to these services, whether it's with us or another CAC or across the state.
So you said CIC is Child Advocacy Center.
Yes.
So for the Heartford House, what's the history behind that? How did it start in Lafayette?
So it originally started, from my understanding, is under the Tippecanoe County
Child Abuse
Thank
Prevention.
you. Yes, I knew I was forgetting an acronym. So it started under them. They just noticed that there was like some services lacking for child victims specifically within Tippecanoe County. So it started under them. Then it became its own independent 501c3. And remind me, Rachel?
2011.
Thank you. And then since then, we have kind of, it's molded. When it first started, it was DCS and the prosecutor's office doing the interviews themselves. And now it's kind of shifted to us doing it, like a third party, no buy-in, literally just there to support the kids. And that really does help victims. So that's how we began.
So what inspired you to personally get involved?
You can go.
I have a child welfare background. I also have worked with children with disabilities before. And coming from those experiences, I knew that I really liked listening to kids, but I had a more difficult time with all of the aftermath that came with it, just because it was really hard for me to hold all of that. And so I discovered forensic interviewing in college, and I love the idea of listening to them fully, giving them my full undivided attention, and then working together with our advocates so that way they can have that continued care. And it has just worked really well for me, and it's really been great.
Yeah. I have personal connections to our mission. like since 6th grade, I would say I knew that I wanted to be in the helping field. And I've always been passionate about advocating for those who are forgotten, especially parents. I feel like they're the forgotten victims in the system. So I was given a presentation at my freshman year at Purdue, and I held on to that business card until I took my job as an advocate in 2023. So I've just always had a passion for just advocating for those that need it. So yeah.
Awesome. You want to join in?
I'm always enjoying it. I'm just listening. It's interesting to hear why people got into the careers they've chosen. Because when we get together, we don't really discuss those things, right? It's usually about the cases. So, usually business. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Every once in a while we have fun, right? Destiny usually yells at me and makes fun of me.
That's
so does
true.
Rachel. So I mean, it's,
No, we're a team.
we're a team.
We're
So
a
I don't
great
know who
team.
you're gonna.
We're building relationships by
We're
doing
building
that.
relationships.
Right.
But what about you? You were voluntold to go into the position you have now.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit how you're connected to the Heartford House.
Yeah, well, so now actually, I'd like to. We can even go a little further back, right? So, become a cop because I wanted to help people as well. And later on in my career, when I was in admin services, I had started the Foot Pursuit 5K, which is no longer a thing. So, unfortunately, but we were able to do it for 3 or 4 years and raise funds for the Heartford House, and it was a no-brainer for me because I didn't know exactly what they did. You know what I mean? Like the in-depth parts of what they do, but I knew that they helped kids. And, so again, that was a no-brainer. So donating funds to them. But then moving forward to where I'm at in my career now, yes, I was voluntold. So got promoted to, so when I was in administrative services doing the outreach thing, I was still a specialist. So an in-house promotion. Then I went to sergeant, but then I got kicked back to patrol. It's what we do here when you get promoted. Well, then I was able to get promoted to lieutenant. I went back to patrol again, or actually to midnights. And then after 8 months, they ended up sticking me in special victims unit, which is where I'm currently at. And so now I oversee all the cases involving crimes against kids and all sex crimes that include adults as well. But we spend a lot of time at the Heartford House because of the forensic interview, because it's one of the first steps in the case building. When it comes to crimes against kids, we take them to the Heartford House, and these young ladies do a phenomenal job at interviewing the children and extracting the information that's really the foundation of the cases, right? Because a lot of times it seems there's not physical evidence, and these kids, tell the story. So actually, we were just there. I normally don't take a lot of cases, being in my position, but I have taken a couple. But I stop in and check on my detectives to see what they're doing, just to see how the cases are going. But also sometimes I help because I was just in there 2 days ago, yesterday.
Yep.
The days
It was
run
yesterday,
together.
actually.
It was
Yeah,
yesterday.
it was.
So we had a case yesterday, and so we work closely, and then meetings, and then there's different boards, if you will, to ensure that these kids get the resources that they deserve.
Yeah.
And so the Tippecanoe County, Lafayette, we'll say Tippy because I mean it's really a collective thing. There's a lot of resources for kids, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So let's branch off of that. What is a child advocacy center? What services do you provide? Forensic interview was mentioned. What is that?
So I'll speak to the forensic interview. That is my main role. So it's a child-friendly interview. The goal is to remain neutral. You want to minimize the amount of times that a child has to repeat themselves and tell their story, which is why it's a recorded interview. We do have people observing in a separate room, but it's just the child and the interviewer. They ask not leading questions. They try to make the child feel comfortable. And then we try to extract the story as best that we can without putting in any of our own bias. And we work together with our team, which is law enforcement, DCS, the prosecutor's office. They all have their investigations, and this just aids in it. But like Destiny said, it's a specially trained process. So my whole job is just interviewing kids and making sure that I'm up on the trends and what's new in interviewing, so that way I can best serve all of these kids and meet them where they're at.
Can you tell me how you interview a child differently than an adult? I was going through the website and I saw the interview rooms had, comfy chairs, a safe place, color in there, and then also a drawing board. So can you explain what what goes on in there?
Yeah, so we try to tailor each interview towards the age of the child. We interview kids ages 3 to 17. We can interview adults if it's necessary. And the big easel paper sometimes will draw with younger kids, or it's good if the child needs to write out something, or if they're having a hard time describing something and they can draw it out. We also ask questions very open-ended. So it would not be like, who did that? It would be, tell me about that happening. Tell me about your experience. And so we try to make it as open, and it allows a child to honestly give multiple answers or tell us that they don't want to talk about it. And we can stop. We don't have to keep going. So I think that's one of the main differences is we try to give the child a voice while also still getting what we need. And the environment helps with that, with the comfortable chairs. We've got Play-Doh, we've got Pop-Its. So we try to gauge where the child's at and just meet them there. And if that means that we don't get anything, then that's okay with us.
Yeah, and I would say, like, our specific protocol, we appoint, and it is rapport. Like, a big portion of the interview is just learning about that child. We really like to say, like, you're doing a good job if they've taught you something. Like, if you have learned something from them outside of their disclosure, right? Like, they've taught you, like, I had an interview one time, the kid taught me about rap music. I don't know anything about rap music, but he taught me about it, right? So I felt successful as an interviewer because I allowed that child the opportunity to show me that they're an expert too. And so I think that's what makes forensic interviews a beautiful thing, is that we have a lot of heart in it, and we find like comfort in the fact that we can allow that opportunity for that child. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Besides forensic interviews, do you offer any other services?
Yeah, so another main component is advocacy. So while the interview is happening, our advocates meet with a non-offending caregiver and just describe the process to them, right? Because we're seeing families at the worst day of their lives, right? Especially in emergent situations. And so our advocate can just provide that comfortable space for them. So just like our interview rooms, we have a room with big couches and a little swivel chair and full of resources and just comfortable lighting, where we just meet with them and answer their questions, provide them that emotional validation. And we allow the opportunity to learn about that parent's barriers, right? 90% of the cases we see, it's somebody that the kid knows and loves, right? So we're talking about relatives. We're talking about like personal connections, personal people. And so it allows that caregiver to talk through any of the barriers they might be experiencing in that neutral environment too, right? It's easier sometimes to look at us knowing that we don't work for DCS or law enforcement, right? We work with them, but we don't work for them. And so then our advocates can then go to the team and say, hey, caregiver feels this way. Please make sure you answer these questions, because we're going to meet with them again after the interview is over, so that they know what's going on with their child, and they can ask questions too. And then we also follow up with them at least in a week and a month, but that can change depending on what their needs are. And we can do legal advocacy, we file protective orders, and we just assist them with anything that might need, finding housing, food insecurity. I mean, we're seeing cuts all over right now, so our advocates are working really hard to make sure that we are surrounding them in as much support as we can, even if it doesn't have to do with that abuse directly. So we do that, and we do prevention as well. So we go out into the community. Currently, I'm the only one trained, but we go out into the community and educate about just safety in general. So we're not even just focusing on body safety. We're talking about mental safety and physical safety, and online safety is a huge thing right now. So we're doing that because that's the biggest, honestly, protector for these kids and what they're experiencing, and these parents, right? So we provide that to the communities we service as well.
So what is the process? Do parents come to you? Do law enforcement bring the child?
Mm-hmm.
Before she answers that, because I just thought about it.
Yeah.
So I don't even know where she finds time to do the whole outreach thing, because you guys didn't touch on, or you ladies did not touch on who you help as far as like how many agencies and counties.
Yeah.
It's not just Lafayette.
Yeah.
So if you want to.
Yeah, we service 8 other counties. So we see almost 600 kids a year on average, and that's just reported cases. So that number could be doubled if more reports came in. So, but yeah, we service 8 other counties, so it's not just Tippy focused. It's a lot. Yeah.
And that interview process,
Yeah.
takes time. Mm-hmm. Like yesterday, we had multiple kids,
Right.
and so. Now they're doing their paperwork and, talking with us, and, I mean, there's a whole process, right? So, I mean, that takes up, half the day, at least for ours.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Now another agency comes in, and not to mention they're on call. Mm-hmm. So like if I get a call at midnight, which isn't ideal,
Right.
And we won't really get in that unless you want to, but
Right.
say we have an emergency at Heartford House, then they have an on call. So now, how many work in the office?
There are 6 currently, but 5 when we are fully staffed.
Yeah.
And our on-call rotation is 4.
Yeah, so it's only 4 of us.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So I don't think people realize that. So if you're listening to this and you're wanting to support a group, I'm telling you, the Heartford House, they can use it because it goes to kids in need,
Yeah, absolutely.
obviously. Sorry, I just thought we should touch on that.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that.
You're
Thank
welcome. I'll think of some other good questions.
Awesome.
Keep it
Thanks.
coming.
I haven't even had any coffee right now. I feel pretty good.
Wow.
Is that water?
Yeah, so I don't like the whole Stanley thing and all that jazz because I'll lose it, and it's
Okay.
like those don't even fit in your cup holder. Let's be honest.
You can buy an
And
extender,
so
but
this is like 50 cents, and
Yeah.
if I lose it or leave it in the gym or whatever, then I just get a new one.
interesting.
And I don't,
Okay.
and I like room temperature water.
we don't need to get into that. Let's. That could lead to a whole thing.
Okay, then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before we start a fight here,
That would be a fight over room
No.
temperature water. You drink room temperature water?
I do.
No.
Okay, but I've been trying to gulp back here. So if you see me backing up, that's I'm still
okay, where were we?
Because I feel like my gulps are extra loud right now that we're sitting in the podcast.
Turn your sound
you know what I mean? Well, on the old one, you could turn it off. That's what I was looking for. I was like, where's the button? Yeah, when we used to do it.
hear.
Yeah, see,
do I need to keep
would
a good
be able
eye
to
on you?
control it. Yeah, MK is going to be like,
my
I'm like, why didn't I hear myself the rest of the thing? Because you were talking too much, Ian, and they pressed the mute
She
button.
did ask a valuable question.
What was it? What was it?
We were going to discuss how families come to Heartford House.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Back on track.
Okay, back on track.
So there are 2 different ways for our advocacy services. They don't have to come to Heartford House for us to be able to help them. If a caregiver needs help, their child's having some sexually maladaptive behaviors, we can provide them with resources. We also keep a lot of resources on our website for that. But for families that actually come to our CAC and get interviews, that's done through law enforcement or DCS. So we would receive a call from either DCS or law enforcement, and they would give us a limited amount of information about what's going on, and then we schedule typically a 2-hour time block for each family. That gives us time to meet with the child, meet with the caregiver, do advocacy in person, and then have a post meeting. So those are the 2 different avenues that we see families.
So, Ian, when a child, do you recommend a child go to the Heartford House immediately after they've been a part of a crime, or do you give it some time? What's the process there?
Oh, okay. You mean once we get involved?
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, well, again, it depends on where they're at in their state of mind, time
Right.
of day. If it's during the day and they're awake and they're fresh, now I think say it's awake, they're awake, it's during the middle of the day, but they're really emotional and they're not, it's clear that they're not ready to talk, then no, we wouldn't do it. I haven't experienced that yet, but I have had several situations to where, so I'm also on call. I take all the calls, right? All the initial calls for these cases. So whether that's, right now or 1 a.m. And so I've had a couple situations. It blows my mind that it happens at 1 a.m, but where I get the report that a kid has been a victim of a crime at 1 a.m. We're not going to interview them that early. It would have to be a pretty extreme situation to interview a kid that early. Especially under 13, 14, 15.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? If
absolutely.
they're
We're
a
like, please
teenager
let them
and
go to
it's
bed.
something like we need the information, maybe,
Yeah.
because in our world, there's really no definites, never say never type situation, right?
Right. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. But yes, there's definitely a little strategy behind when we
Yeah.
bring the kid interview them.
Yeah, and we talk through that too. Like when they call to schedule, we'll ask them, like, are there any specific needs for this child that we should be aware of? We talk about language barriers. And so we're specifically trained too, right, to know where they're at in their stages of disclosure too, because that's really important for us. So if we interview a kid too and they're like, I just want to talk about it, like she said, we're not going to force them to talk about it. So that's when our advocates will come in and be like, okay, they need therapy. And so then we follow up, right? Is this kid ready? We meet the child where they're at rather than having the child meet us where we're needing in the investigation. So I will say, yeah, we're all in agreement on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there certain qualifications that have to be met for the child to come to the Heartford House? Versus like bringing
The
them to
largest qualification is that a crime of some sort must have occurred. A lot of times we don't know what that is. It could be a very large variety of things. So anytime a child is being exposed to something violent or they're being abused and it has a criminal element attached to it, we would prefer that they come and be interviewed by us, which is why we use our team approach. So that way law enforcement and DCS can both investigate. There are times when we don't know for sure if a crime did occur, and we would still recommend that interview because we will be able to gather evidence that's necessary anyway, whether or not something occurred that is we can charge. Well, we don't charge.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Whether that's victim or witness.
Right,
So, I mean,
exactly.
they don't have to be directly.
The direct,
You
yeah.
know, I would argue that any kid that witnesses a crime is
Yes.
ultimately a victim, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they shouldn't have to witness that. But
Exactly.
as far as the crime actually being committed against them, they also will interview witnesses as well because it's so sensitive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, putting that kid in a situation where they're comfortable, when the police are around, you know, maybe not the most comfortable
Yeah.
in that specific environment of hostility and crimes being committed and all that
Yeah.
jazz. So.
Yeah.
So you would always take them to the Heartford House versus like bring them to the Public Safety Center for interviews?
Again, I'm not going to speak in definites. I mean, there's definitely been times to where.
Right.
Didn't I just say I'm not going to speak in definites? There's been times that we've interviewed a witness,
Yeah.
and maybe every once in a while a victim of a crime. It's just not ideal,
Yeah.
right? It's not ideal, but sometimes it's necessary in the moment.
Yeah.
But yes, ultimately the plan is to get them in front of these ladies so we can get the best interview information possible.
Yeah. And for those cases that they do interview kids, like say at the station or at the Department of Child Services, we talk through that as a team, right? Like we are saying like, is this what's best for the child? Are there limitations with the kid coming to us? Because we see kids sometimes more than once. And so they've been through the system, and a forensic interview might not be the best situation for that child. And so that's a nice thing about that MDT approach, is that we're all collaborating all the time and having those conversations and ensuring that that child and that family is the focus of this investigation.
And I don't know if we actually discussed MDT and what that is. Did we? I don't think we did.
Is that multidisciplinary?
Yeah, sorry. We use a lot of acronyms. If you don't
The
count.
multidisciplinary team.
Yeah.
So essentially, like I talked about, I mean, it is literally a team of organizations that come together to support these kids, right?
Yeah.
So you ladies, Hartford, so the Heartford House, police, prosecutor's office, DCS, and then the medical field as well. We can have representation there. So, I mean, they get the whole gamut
Yeah.
when it comes to support.
Yeah, and we have mental health professionals too. So they'll chime in. Like we have a contract with a local community mental health center where we can send referrals for kids. So that helps, right? We can get them in sooner. Same with medical. Like we have a really great working relationship with our hospitals in this area. So we can just call them and say, hey, we have a kid. This is the situation. And they can get them in as soon as possible. So it really does help.
So is a representative from all of those organizations there when you interview? Like,
For the most
do you
part.
watch it live?
Yeah. So there's two little components within an MDT. We have our investigative team, and then we just have our MDT. So our investigative team consists of that prosecutor's office, DCS, and then law enforcement. They're present as those interviews are happening. But the medical and mental health professionals, they're not there, right? Because we don't want that kind of conflict of interest a little bit, because if we're going to call that same nurse and say, hey, we need an exam, they just watch that interview, right? So, and same with mental health. We don't have the child's therapist in that interview room watching that interview, because that can present like as having bias and things like that when they're providing those services. So our investigative team is there, yes, but the mental health and medical, they're there for like monthly meetings and that collaboration outside of that room.
Okay.
And we really try to limit who observes the interviews as much as possible because this is also a child's most intimate and scary possibly part of their life. And so we don't want them to think that it's a spectacle. So we try to limit the amount of people that are able to observe. If it was absolutely necessary for someone to observe, obviously we're going to welcome them in. But the example of like medical and mental health, they see the child afterwards. And I could just imagine myself as a child talking with someone knowing that they watched me disclose all of this information. We really try to make the child feel comfortable, and so that's just a decision a lot of CACs have made, is to limit the amount of observers so that that child's story is still able to remain as private as possible, even though there is an investigation.
And just to be clear, it's over video. So, like, it's only the child and the interviewer in the room.
Yes.
The observers aren't hanging out in a corner. They're in a
or like a
different
two-way
room.
mirror.
Well, I know,
This
like,
is-
if you didn't know.
Hey, people say all the time.
Yeah, this isn't, it's not the movies.
Yes,
I
this
mean, we're
is
in a
not
completely different,
NCIS.
and the kids, they let the kids know, like, hey, our partners are watching on that camera.
Yep.
It's a very open, honest
Yeah.
situation. So I just wanted to paint that picture.
No,
so
I
people,
appreciate
like,
that.
are
No,
they-
it's true. A lot of people think that when I meet with caregivers, they're like, well, I know what this looks like. I watch NCIS. I'm like, respectfully. No, and that's why we have advocates, right, is to explain that, because there's a lot of misconception when it comes to this process with kids. Like, we think, oh, because we make movies about it, that we know what's going on, but that's not real life, right? So it's really great that we all can tell them that.
Yeah. What about the parents? Are they allowed to observe?
No.
No.
And if a parent is just so happens to be a member of our
Yeah.
MDT, we also limit even more. Like, we would never allow interns to observe that. Other staff cannot observe that. We make it restricted. So there are times when, unfortunately, parents that are law enforcement officers, they have their kids come in for an interview, and we still provide that service, but it's just even more discreet. So even those situations we try to limit.
Yeah. So what about the parents? Like, I'm just imagining something happening to my kid, and I'm
Right.
not involved at all. Like, how do you make the parents feel comfortable? What's their involvement?
Yeah, that's when the advocates come in. I mean, it happens a lot. They're like, this is my child. I have a right to know. Absolutely. But we also want to provide that child a safe environment because, and I just play it out very clearly for them. I let them know they're going to talk about things in explicit detail. I mean, we ask about senses, right? So we're talking about how things taste, how things smell, right? We all can understand what that means. And so I just put that out for them very clearly. It's hard. It's hard to tell people that you love this information. So we just want to make sure that we're giving that child their best shot at having something happen, whatever that child wants to happen, right? And so that's when our advocates just step in. Like, if they come in, they take intake paperwork on the back. They can write their comments, their concerns, and so our advocate reads those things. And so we address all of those if we can, right, during those meetings with those parents. And sometimes they appreciate that. Sometimes they're like, this still sucks, and you're right, right? This is a crappy situation, right? No parent. I mean, we always say we would be happy if we didn't have a job in this. And so I think just providing them that honesty and transparency really does help as much as it can. Yeah. So.
And then, you know, on the police side of things too, I don't want to say usually, but there's a lot of times the parent is the suspect, right?
Yeah.
Is the other parent involved? You just don't know. So on the investigative side, it's no different than when we're investigating other crime. Like, we separate witnesses, we separate victims to get those interviews. This isn't a situation where the kid is a suspect, right? Where they have, you know, you want to get mom and make sure they read their rights and stuff. I mean, this is a victim and witness-based thing, so there's nothing criminal on that side. So we do separate them to get that statement.
Right.
Are you learning a lot, MK?
I am. This is a very
It is
interesting
interesting, isn't
episode.
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even touched kind of on the DCS side, which we won't really because, you know, it's a Heartford House. But I mean, it was awesome for me when you earlier said I was voluntold to go to this position. I never thought that I was going to come to this position.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful that I did, because it really is, you know, I've been a cop for a long time. And what I never realized is that a majority of these calls don't even come through 911 or, you know, the dispatch center.
Yeah.
They're coming through DCS.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's my job now is DCS gets initial report. Well, I get about 10 to 15 a day. Now, they're not all crimes, right? Or they're not even all our jurisdiction being Lafayette, maybe county or whatever, they kind of just send the bulk of what happens in this county to all 3 agencies together. But point being is like, the reason that I didn't know and I never really even realized it is because it all comes mostly through DCS. And so that process really starts there most of the time.
Yeah.
And then I'll read about it. I try to get ahead of the game by reading about it first before I get the phone call. But point being is like, I've just learned a lot that I didn't realize I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because it's just coming through a different
Yeah.
funnel of information, if you will.
Yeah.
And then going to juvenile, we used to call it juvenile detectives. Now it's SVU, but it's coming through SVU, and then we work it. So patrol officers, it doesn't surprise me if they don't really have the experience in handling
Right.
these cases.
Yeah. Well, it's not
Because they defer
commonly-
to us.
Yeah, and we don't commonly talk about it, right? This is kind of like a taboo topic.
It
Nobody
is.
wants to talk about child abuse. I mean, we work in it, and sometimes it is even uncomfortable for us. And so overcoming that barrier sometimes is really difficult too within this work.
I will proudly say, though, we just did all-day training, which we do monthly, and I went over SVU.
You did?
you.
I did.
I checked
it was
it.
good. Yes,
I did
it
check
was,
it.
It was good.
It was accurate.
good. So officers are up to date. They know what to do.
That's great.
And then essentially, I get a phone call,
Yep.
and then I don't know, maybe half the time these ladies get a phone call.
Yeah.
Another aspect that is less considered is that we don't just interview children who something has happened recently. If something happened 5 years ago, we still talk to them about it. So that's another way
Yeah.
that Ian could get a report is they're not going to call 911 probably for something that happened 60 years ago, but they can still call in a report to the DCS hotline. DCS can involve law enforcement, and law enforcement can investigate. So I think that that's like an aspect that's not seen as much, is that there's not a timeline for us.
Yeah.
If a kid has a story to tell, we're going to listen to it. And that really helps them, even if they think there's no evidence, even if they think that nothing can be done, just being able to tell your story is a lot of relief.
Yeah.
I think that brings up the good point of everyone digests and deals with trauma differently.
Yes.
And so don't be surprised if someone comes out 5 years later,
Yeah.
5 months later,
Yeah.
10 years later. I mean, we've kind of had all those cases, even my time being up here.
Yeah.
And so, how are they processing that? And, who have they confided in that may or may not have told? I mean, there's so many
Right.
factors,
Yeah.
right? So point being, if you're listening to this and someone finally does come forward, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't just brush it off. There's a very good chance that it's legitimate.
Yeah.
And we will investigate it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more common for kids. We call that delayed disclosure. It's more common for them to have a delayed disclosure because we're talking about people who don't have the same language abilities that we do, right? I tell parents this all the time. They're like, well, what about this? What about this? I said, thankfully, kids don't think of it that way. They don't have the same developmental level that we do as adults. And so if things are happening back then, they probably don't have the language or even understand what's going on. We see that a lot with our younger victims too. So it's really common for kids to have like that delayed disclosure like we're talking about. So just again, believe there's validity
Well, I mean,
in it.
and not only that, to me, I just think of it as common sense. Usually it's someone they know,
Right.
Yes.
right? So
Right.
there's the love
Right,
and
that relationship.
the relationship factor, and it's like, and that's probably the only person they can really confide in is the person that's doing it to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so are they going to go tell on them, air quotes, at
Right.
school or whatever? I mean, there's,
Yeah.
it's not normally, and I don't have any numbers, but it's not normally a stranger.
No.
Could it
Yeah.
happen? Yes.
Absolutely.
Right? Is that fair
Yeah.
to say? It's
Yeah,
usually
it
an
could.
acquaintance,
It could.
family. It all could happen, but the
But it
majority of the
most
time,
likely-
they know who it is.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's just a factor of kids they care, they love, and they
do.
too much to where they're, I don't want to say allow, that's a poor choice of words, but it continues because they care so much about that person that,
Yeah. Or they just think that's what happens.
That's
too,
just what happens,
right?
right?
Like we have
You
a
know.
lot of kids, even because we interview kids who have possibly, done things to other children. Because where have they learned this, right? And so a lot of the times when we're doing those interviews too, we have kids saying things like, "Well, it happened to me. Like I thought this is just what people did who are in love." Even when I teach prevention, I've had kids say, "Well, he told me that's what you do when you love each other, is we send images of ourselves. And so it's just, again, that lack of knowledge and experience and education.
So are there signs of abuse? Like,
Yeah, there are. Yeah. When you send this to us, Rachel and I had a long conversation about that question, because that's a hard one to answer. Because we know, like, you can know by certain things, but that's not a guarantee, right? So we think like kids are going to withdraw and they're going to, participate, like their mental health is going to decline, but that's not always the case. I mean, we have kids who parents have said they had got straight A's, like they were still excelling at school, they were doing great in sports, right? So the hard thing is every kid is different. Every situation is different too, and it really just depends on that child. And I think you have more to add, Rachel, so go for it.
I just think it's hard to talk about signs when people aren't looking for them. And the most important thing when you're looking for a child is to listen to them. It doesn't have to be a physical sign. They can say that they're sad, or they can say that something happened and you should report it and you should believe them. I think that's the more important thing, is if a child does say something concerning, that you should tell them thank you for sharing, and then you should report it.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest sign, is if a kid knows that you are a trustworthy adult and that you are a safe person, they will feel comfortable to talk about their experience. So that's almost more important than trying to see if they're withdrawing, or obviously if there are major mental health concerns, we need to get involved and talk about some help. But I think the most important thing is just that these kids are waiting for somebody who will listen to them.
Yeah, we hear that a lot when kids come
But
in.
it goes right back to everyone responds to trauma differently.
Right.
So you really can't gauge, for the most
Not
part,
every
that.
time.
Not every
right?
time.
Yeah, it's not a textbook.
And so that's where you as a parent, I just make sure almost daily, hey, you good? Everything good? Are people treating you well? I probably ask that once a week.
Yeah.
Are people treating you well? Especially when my kids are younger. Does anybody touch you, like, in areas, is...
Yes.
Would you tell me? You better tell me. I don't know, whatever it is.
And don't make it taboo by saying areas.
Yeah, just say penis and vagina. They're not dirty words. Let's just get that out.
Okay, let's get it out there.
Well, I think that's the other thing, is people think it's taboo to talk about body parts.
No, I agree.
That's so
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
But
Say
yes,
that when you get home. Too.
I do. I do say
That's
that
good. Well, and this is the point, though, is we're sitting on this and we're professionals, and we sometimes even struggle to say that, but we're expecting kids to tell us these things, but not giving them the tools to tell us these things. Like,
Exactly.
we have to be teaching kids the correct terms for these places. The nicknames, no, just say penis and vagina, because that's what they've got, right? It's not a front butt. It's not a private area, right? We need to be educating kids.
More than at all.
Yeah, that's true. But we need to be educating kids, because that's providing them the tools that they need, because we cannot stop perpetrators from perping on kids, right? That's the unfortunate reality. But we can advocate for our children by giving them the tools that they need to use their voices. And we need to do that by telling them the correct terms.
Telling them the correct terms, being engaged.
Yes.
Asking questions regularly.
But no,
That's
ask
always
too
a
many
tough one for me.
questions.
Regularly.
Yes.
It's just a tough one.
But
always.
always don't ask too much, right? Because you also don't, because some kids, right? Again, this isn't a book. So your kids might do really well with that, but other kids might be like, ooh, no, I can't say anything. Absolutely not. And that might make them shy away even more. So it's a really fine line, right?
And I think that's where you as a parent, you learn how to communicate with your kid.
Right.
Because, I got two boys that are definitely different in their ways and the way you approach things and talk about things for the most part.
Right.
And so bottom line is talk to them.
Yeah.
Be engaged on a regular.
And that's another thing we try to do, is equip parents in that meeting, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour. We try to equip them for what is going to happen when their child is done. And then another thing that we've started, which Destiny can speak more on, is we have started a support group for parents.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, is if parents maybe don't know how to have that conversation, or maybe their child has disclosed to being abused and they don't know how to continue the conversation, we want to give them the tools, because this isn't just about the kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, we need these kids to be taken care of, but we need their caregivers to know that they are supported too, and that it's not taboo. And it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the nice thing about this group is we're meeting the parents where they're at too. So we're going to ask them, like, what do you guys need? Like, what kind of conversations are you needing? What kind of community do you need to get through this? And a lot of that is and talking about that relationship with that perpetrator. I mean, we have a lot of grandparents who are parenting their grandkids too. So we're dealing with online issues. And so it's just really nice that we can meet the families where they need us to be rather than us telling them where they need to go.
Yes.
This is a great conversation. MK, do you have questions?
I was actually just going to say we need to start wrapping it up.
Okay.
But I would, do you have a personal story, like without sharing many private details about like how the Heartford House has made a difference in an individual or family's life?
It's hard. That's a hard one for us just because confidentiality is so important to us. And we like to believe that every family that comes is changed in one way or another, right? Mm-hmm. If it's through just understanding the system more or if it's they've felt supported. I mean, we've seen families multiple times. And so we do develop that personal connection. I mean, I had a caregiver one time who was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was available. And they hugged me before they left. And they were like, thank you so much for just providing this environment for us, because it is scary. But we like to believe that every family that comes to us has a positive impact in one way or another.
Well, I can just say that I've already witnessed situations to where we were only aware of maybe one child or one child that was being abused. And then after that initial interview, we learned that there was more than one.
Yeah.
You know, so now we're able to help more than one child that we were never, you know, the initial DCS report or disclosure had nothing to do with anybody else except that one child. Do the interview, we learn about more, we bring them in, right? And so you're able to impact more kids that are unfortunately, like you said, there's always going to be bad guys out there, right?
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Like there's monsters out there hurting kids.
Yeah.
And so, you know, again, I'm not trying to make this about me, but that's been one great thing that I've enjoyed going up to SVU is that we are really impacting and helping kids that don't have a voice, right? And because unfortunately there's several out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there that are being abused in one way or another. And so, you know, we take one day at a time and help all the ones we can.
Yeah.
So how can the general public help the Heartford House? Volunteer, donations?
Well, first off, they can help by being good people. I'm serious. Like, I meant like, you as an individual, and I think most people are. I didn't mean it. You know, be a good person, take care of people, and in that, when you see something, I know that's a common phrase, right? When you see something, say something, do something about it. Don't just assume that someone else is going to make that phone call.
Right.
Make sure that you're calling DCS. You can do it. It's anonymous, and it starts that ball, and we'll look into it.
Yeah.
So, you know, just be a good person, take care of people, realize that you probably don't know what people are going through when you're interacting with people.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not giving an open door for people to misbehave, but like if you are seeing stuff going on, it's hard telling what they're dealing with. Right. And so be a good person, and if you see something, say something, and that goes from kids to adult. You name it.
Right.
So that's the cop in me.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause I see people doing terrible things to others.
Yeah.
And just be a good person.
Well, specific to us, you can volunteer. So all volunteers have to pass a criminal and DCS background check, though, and they're very limited. I mean, again, to that confidentiality. So they help a lot behind the scenes. We take donations. We have an active Amazon wish list. We take monetary donations. Of course, we're a nonprofit, right? So we're primarily grant funded, and so our funding changes every couple of years when our grant cycle reopens, right? So we do that, and I'll let you can speak to some events we have coming up too.
Yes, one of our biggest event of the year is our Stand Up for Kids event. It's on April 10th. It's in Lafayette at Gathering Acres. This, like I said, it's our biggest event, so it's a time where we get to come together with donors, but also members of our MDT do come, and we do celebrate with them. And some of our families, some of the staff's families even come. It's just a good time to gather together. There's a silent auction, there's live music, and so there's an option you could sponsor us for the event, or you can come and just enjoy the event, or you can just donate if you don't have the ability to come on April 10th. So that is our biggest fundraiser. And then also plugging Facebook, follow us on Facebook at Heartford House. We post regularly. We post resources for caregivers. We post events that are coming up. We talk about things that have gone well. We try to thank people. And so we really try to stay active. And if you're looking for ways to help us too, even if that means sending us a Walmart order, we do post when we need things. So I think that is like the easiest way. Even liking our Facebook posts.
Yeah.
I try to ask people to like our Facebook posts. My husband likes all of ours very lovingly because it just helps get the word out too. So there are a lot of ways to support, even if you don't feel like you can actively leave your home to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any last minute thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, thank you for this. It's great. The opportunity just to get out and talk about the work that we do is always wonderful. So thank you.
No, I just want to say that you ladies do an amazing job. I've watched you in action now several times, interact with you on a regular basis, and I think you do a phenomenal job. It's not easy, and I hope whoever listens to this is willing to, if they aren't able to donate, tell somebody else.
Yeah.
See if they're willing to donate. I mean, because again, it's going to, what better cause is there than to help kids?
Yeah.
So keep it up. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
And that's all I got, MK.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me be on the podcast.
He will not be back.
Yeah, it definitely takes a special person to do what you guys do. All three of you. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are special.
You're special too, MK.
Yeah.
thanks.
It takes
You do a lot for the
everything
police
for
department.
everything.
And there's a young lady off camera that she's learning to do special things.
Yeah.
I was going to plug you in there some
Oh my
way.
goodness.
Do you want to come say hi?
You got to say hi.
Come on.
Come on, look in the camera
You
and
gotta
say
say hi. Right. There's,
Right here.
Yeah.
Right there. Take my mic. Say hi.
Hi, I'm Hope, the intern.
Oh
Yeah,
my
we have
goodness.
interns from Purdue too, so we have lots of learning opportunities. Yeah. So
All right. So follow the Heartford House on Facebook.
please. Yeah.
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 And come to their, what's it called? Stand Up for Kids?
Yep. Stand Up for
10th.
Kids, April 10th.
Silent auction, there's alcohol.
There's also food and live music. We have a local artist coming. We're very excited for
Who
this
is
year.
it? Is it a secret?
Matt Hare? Right?
Wyatt Hare.
Wyatt Hare. Thank
Okay.
you. Sorry,
You got
Wyatt.
the two T's.
I'm horrible with names. Sorry, but
Wyatt Hare, for a plug for him, he sometimes plays at the Neon Cactus for all of our young listeners.
All right. Sounds like a good time. Okay. Well, thank you all.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.